I don't understand. What's the bit?
There's no bit.
I don't hear anything different.
This podcast is entirely artificially.
Did you put an effect on your voice or something? Because I can't tell. You just sound normal.
The buttons don't exactly
Brian
hit,
always
so
sounds like a
missing it.
Cylon to me.
Sometimes I talk like this, Tom.
Yeah, that's just Brian when he's angry.
And sometimes this is... I don't know what this effect is supposed to be.
I don't know. Hello?
Evolution takes centuries.
Yep, yes it does. That's correct, sir.
That's just a megaphone. Like,
Hello, where are you?
Yeah, I guess it is.
you on the table. Would you like to take a brief survey?
G. James B., thank you for joining us. Hello, unsafe TV level. Yo, yo, yo. Hello, XX Error 404, Dylan Theus.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, I was complaining that I was complaining that I'm gonna have to lovingly handcraft a repair to the bonus episode. What are our big headlines, Tom? I should write them on here.
On the Cordkillers?
Yeah.
You don't own anything.
Yep.
K-pop Demon Hunters is the most streamed Netflix movie ever. And if you thought Dolby Vision was great, wait for the sequel. Dolby Vision 2, The Visioning.
Envisioning. You don't own your movies?
You don't own your movies? No.
There we go.
You don't.
All right. I'm ready to rock when you are, sir.
Oh, hold on. I got to take this.
Oh, well, I gotta play this. Oh no, these buttons aren't doing what I want them to do. There you go. Here's some hold music. What? Corporate rock. Let's go.
Your cord cutting is very important to us. Please stay on the line. All right. Here we go. The real thing. Pepsi in 3, 2. Welcome to Cordkillers Reckoning. We killed all the cords. Now what? I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, I'm Brian Brushwood. Normally I don't introduce myself. We're shaking it up. What's going on here, Tom?
Yeah, I just realized, like, the cords are all dead, Brian.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Boy, look, we killed Cable and boy, are we hungry. That's our new tagline.
Boy, are our arms tired.
Yeah.
Well, the stabbing.
The original Hatchet Man. Yeah, in case you weren't paying attention for the last 20 years, we started a program, said Cable should die, then Cable died, and we covered its death, and now we're covering the apocalypse. And now we're just on a quest to find out how to watch what we want, when we want, on whatever device we please.
Yeah, where's the good stuff, Tom? Well,
That's right.
It's in the supply run.
There it is.
Supply run, supply run, supply run.
Not the beef, the good stuff. The amazing Sharon Harding over at Ars Technica has a nice overview of the fact that when you buy, and I use air quotes if you can't see me, when you buy a movie from a digital store, what you're buying is a license, not the movie itself. Technically, that's actually true of physical media as well. It's just harder to enforce revoking that license when you hold the disc in your hot little hand. Lisa Reingold has filed paperwork for a class action lawsuit against Amazon alleging false and misleading advertising. The complaint cites Prime Video's terms of use and reads, "On its website, defendant tells customers the option to buy or purchase digital copies of these audiovisual works. But when consumers buy digital versions of audiovisual works through Amazon's website, they do not obtain the full bundle of sticks." It does say bundle of sticks in the actual filing. Yeah. "They do not obtain the full bundle of sticks of rights we traditionally think of as owning property. Instead, they receive non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-sub-licensable, limited license to access the digital audiovisual work, which is maintained at the defendant's sole discretion." This is similar to a complaint that was brought by someone named Amanda Caudle in 2020. Cottle's complaint argued that Amazon secretly reserved the right to terminate consumers' access, and Cottle's case was dismissed, the judge ruling that the plaintiff lacked standing. So it wasn't on the merits of whether that was true or not. It was like, this is not your case to bring. A California law, however, has taken effect since then, took effect in January, banning the selling of a digital good to a purchaser with the terms buy, purchase, or any other term which a reasonable person would understand to confer an unrestricted ownership interest in the digital good or alongside an option for a time-limited rental. So this gives standing. Amazon can use the word buy only if it makes it clear that what you're buying is a license. And Reingold's complaint acknowledges that, yeah, Prime Video shows the relevant fine print below its buy button, but says the notice is far below the buy movie button, buried at the very bottom of the page, and is not visible until the very last stage of the transaction after a user has already clicked the buy button itself. Brian, it's no surprise to either of us and probably most of the people watching that when you buy something, you don't really own it. Do you think that this is a legal case?
Well, okay, keep in mind, we're only at the question of, does it have standing? Does it pass the rudimentary sniff test? And yes, I'll agree. We've talked before about this. I emphasize that English is a living language, and and the original last time we fussed over this, I ended up believing that the simple fix was quite simply use the word get. The word get is less reasonably charged than buy, and the whole point here is, can a reasonable person think that they're actually buying a forever license? And to be honest, I feel like increasingly fewer people feel that way, but enough that I can understand, and enough that I'll say, yeah, it does have standing. But this is not going to result in some kind of giant mega refund for anybody. At most, we're going to see a change to the UI that they're going to stick to their guns. They're going to say buy, but underneath it'll say, what am I buying? And then you could click on it once, and then you'll never look at it again. And it'll be a thing that says you're buying a license.
They'll raise the text that says it's a revocable license to higher on the page, right?
Yes.
Because everything you're talking about is already there. The case is like, it's too hard to see. You don't notice it. And depending on the judge, they may say like, yeah, but it's there. Like, if you can't take the time to read everything about what you're buying, well, that's on you.
Yes. And I guess on top of that, there's an interesting, very simple calculus when it comes to, because all of this starts to seem very in the weeds and silly. So it's like the lawsuit is over the website layout design. Like the lawsuit is you want to move a block of text. And then the calculus from Amazon's perspective becomes quite simply if then. If does moving the text result in lower amounts of us getting paid? The answer is almost certainly yes. That's why the text is where it is, because you got to believe they do A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing on all this stuff, and they figured out that the text is currently in the optimal place to maximize the amount of money that they make. So the question is, should we move the text all the way up? It will cost us money. How much money? I don't know. How much is this lawsuit costing us? Because as long as the lawsuit costs less than what we would be losing, then keep on fighting this silly lawsuit. And then meanwhile, at some point, I'm sure they're testing out words like get or any of the other stuff that we talked about. This, I'll tell you, the thing that really piqued my interest that we haven't talked about in a minute is that thing that you mentioned about when you buy a DVD, you're not really buying that movie. You're buying the physical media and a license, which very explicitly begins at the beginning. This is licensed only for home viewing, et cetera, et cetera. You know, try charging people money and then using a giant projector and see how well that goes for you.
Yeah. The only thing that different from digital media is the fact that it is much more difficult for Amazon to come into your house and take that DVD back. Should Amazon have been the person, MGM, whoever, right? Whoever you bought that DVD from. And the courts have ruled that you have the right of first sale of the physical wrapper of that movie, right? Like you can sell a DVD, you can sell a used DVD. The courts have not recognized any right to say like you have the right to resell your digital files. There have been people pushing for that. Cory Doctorow has been one of those who's like, we should have a right to resell our digital files. That should not be something we can't do. If we can resell DVD packages, we should be able to resell digital. But the courts have said it's the package you're selling, not the license. And so arguably, if you buy a used DVD, you might not have the rights to watch it technically. But again, nobody is going after that. No one's bothering to pursue that because you would spend more money going after it than you would make, right? However, with the digital stuff, they would like to be able to revoke things simply because they want to be able to make changes. They want to be able to transfer you to different libraries. It gives them more flexibility, not all of which is malicious, to be able to manage that library and manage those downloads and make it more convenient for you. I don't think it's because there's a malicious intent to steal your movies. They just want the option in case they have to like cut off the service at some point.
Yeah, I guess I'm not even sure how fussy I should be anymore about all of this stuff, to be honest, Tom. I was annoyed previously by the very nature of the lawsuit, but I understand that at some point it could be straight up deceptive fraud to say the word buy, but I don't know. This all seems
should you
so
though?
piddly.
I think the more interesting question is not the lawsuit, but like should I own the digital movie that I buy, that I download? Like, should I have the right? Let's say, great, I want it to be stored in the cloud so I can get it easily on all my devices. I want to be able to stream it over the internet instead of taking up storage on my phone. I want all the conveniences of cloud-based storage, but I also want ownership. I want it so that company always has to allow me to have that, or at least give me the option to download it and not have DRM on it that prevents me from watching it if that company goes away. Do you think we should have that right? I
question why you would want it. Why that is
because I paid for it.
Well, I mean, you paid for whatever it is you paid for, technically, but like I just mean that concept of ownership at all when it comes to a digital good. And we can expand this to video games or whatever, right? On the one hand, you have a reasonable expectation when you buy a video game that when patches come out, you get the patches for free. But it seems like that's a case where, so you're entitled to something that isn't the game after your purchase of the game. So if you're flexible on what it is you're buying in favor of you, could you be flexible about what you're buying, not in favor of the distributor? Because that seems like a slider bar that goes either way. I don't know if I'm phrasing this correctly. Yeah. In theory, if you're buying a digital good, then you're only buying it how you bought it when you bought it, right? And I don't know. This is the problem with stumbling across a new line of inquiry in the middle of a podcast is you court all of those angry emails at cordkillers@gmail.com. Go ahead and write me if what I'm saying either makes any sense or not. And keep in mind, just asking questions.
Just asking questions. That's the universal defense.
But I like what John Alexander in the chat says. You know, what are you entitled to the exact version of the movie that you got? Ask George Lucas.
Right. Yeah, I have a DVD of Star Wars that has the original version of Star Wars. No episode 4, Han clearly shooting first, and all of that. And George Lucas has not yet broken into my house to take it back. But, you know, theoretically, and this has happened not with Star Wars, but with other versions of movies, they can go in and update the file so that you have a version that is slightly different than it was at the time you bought it.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Cordkillers@gmail.com.
What is with you avoiding the opinions today?
Well, mainly because I don't have a strong hot take. I mean, there are things I'm curious about, but
people get really worked up about this stuff, though.
Well,
they're like,
that is
the
also
principle of it.
Also, you're like, Brian, why so sensitive? You're like, I don't know, probably because I burned my hand by having an opinion last time we talked about this. I still feel like I'm right. I still feel like it's a silly lawsuit. I think
you're right about that. I think the lawsuit is kind of silly. Like Like, it's not silly in the sense of it shouldn't be in court. It's a perfectly reasonable lawsuit that can be worked out in court. But also I'm like, what are you going to get out of this? I live in California, so I might get a postcard that says I'm entitled to $11.38 as someone who's consumed a movie. And this is a California law, but it's not going to do anything for anybody else other than maybe get Amazon to move that text higher up the page, which, as Brian said earlier, nobody's really going to notice. I have an idea. I hesitate to call it a solution, but I have an idea. Maybe it's a startup idea. You sell digital copies with all the same clauses on the revocable and this is a license and you can't pre-display them and all of that sort of thing. But you get the right to request your digital file be sent to you on a USB drive. It will then be removed from your cloud library, and then you have it. And it will not have DRM on it. It will be your file, and you will have a physical container for it, because people like to own things. What do you think of that?
I think that, number one, I think publishers have a reasonable expectation. I think stockholders, for whatever reason, like DRM. And board members have to answer to the stockholders.
Maybe. Okay, let's leave DRM on it because there's ways for that to have DRM and it still be playable, et cetera.
Okay, then I would say even then you're taking the long way around because what you want is a DRM local copy, which I think you could distribute easier just over the internet. The physical media, I think there is a place for that, but what you do is you spend however much time, energy, and effort that would take and instead make that part of the experience, or I don't know, maybe
it's
like
addressing. So there's people who just like to have stuff, and their argument with physical media is nobody can take it away, right? One of the big things is the fear that has almost never happened that a company is going to reach in and go, I know you bought that copy of Dune, but it's gone now.
Right. Or Amazon goes out of business is the other.
Yeah, right. And every time that has happened, either the company has backed down and said, actually, we renegotiated the rights, so we're not removing the stuff. Or the company that went out of business was like, yes, but we've transferred all your rights to this other company. So you can, as long as you log in by this date, you can move your library over. You almost never see it lose because nobody wants that blowback, right? That's damaging for the entire industry. But to address that fear, you say, look, we are holding all your movies in a vault. And at any time, you can remove them from your cloud library and have them yourself. Most people won't do it, but I wonder how many people would sign up knowing they have the option to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how many people. Okay, so let's take the Venn diagram of all people who buy movies, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out 95% of them if we're talking about people who care about this issue. And then out of that, we'd have to slice off another 95% to where this is going to be the wedge moment that opens up them deciding to buy when otherwise they wouldn't have done that, is kind of where I'm at.
I stole this idea from a 2001 era Topps trading card service called eTopps.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. There was a hot minute that in theory they were going to do the same thing with Magic the Gathering, where you could have either a physical card or a virtual card and swap them out.
The idea with eTopps during the height of the .com boom was you could buy futures in baseball players by buying their cards when they IPO'd and then trade them with people without ever having to have them. So I could buy the Albert Pujols rookie card when it was IPO'd at $1, right? And then, the value would go up because some people wanted to have it. And then you could sell it for $1.50, et cetera, et cetera. And the premise was, we have a copy of your card. If you want us to send it to you at any time, we'll send it to you. But then you can't trade it on our system anymore. As long as you leave it in our hands, then you can digitally trade it and sell it and buy it, et cetera, et cetera. Topps actually is just this year closing that system, sent me an email and said, hey, remember when we said we had copies? You can either choose to get store credit at Topps.com for all the cards, or we could send you the cards.
Whoa.
And I said, send me those cards.
Yeah.
And so they're shipping the cards to me now. And that's what gave me the idea of like, most of those people won't even get this email. Most of those people forgot this even existed, don't care anymore. So they don't have to have that many cards. It was the idea of it that worked. But I was surprised. I was like, oh, wow, they actually made the cards. That's interesting.
That's amazing. It tickles another memory of mine. I want to say maybe 2002, maybe 1999. There was a hot minute that I had back when you would have just gigantic sleeves of CDs, like those Case Logic things, 100 in there. I think I had 3 of those. And I'd been personally ripping all of them into MP3s or collecting MP3s, whatever. Like I was mostly digital at that point. But then there was a giant fire at Bonnie's art studio and they were melted down to just giant blocks. And so homeowners insurance, in my experience, has never been worth anything at all, except for in this one time when I had done the unheard of thing of having MP3s for everything, but took photos of the melted slag of all these CDs. I think I got like $2,000 out of that.
Wow. It was replacement money. Like you can now replace those CDs because
I think it was $10 per CD. Yeah.
Those MP3s are unlicensed now because you no longer have the physical media to prove that you
I'll
own
make sure to not enjoy them.
That's good. That's good. That money didn't go very far. That was a long time ago. Brian has spent that $2,000 in homeowners insurance compensation since 2003, and now he has no more.
That's true. And lo, now we make our humble ask to you so that I may one day rebuy all $2,000
He's on a quest.
CDs.
Yes. You can help both Brian and I rebuy all of our old CDs by supporting us at patreon.com/Cordkillers.
That's right. Patreon.com/Cordkillers is where you keep us loud, live, and independent. That's where we continue to bring the news from the post-apocalyptic vision of the future past that is the Cordkillers Reckoning. You get early access to the full experience, exclusive access to the After Talk segment, and most importantly, our undying gratitude.
Yeah, and we will keep a physical copy of ourselves in our houses
in the cloud, so you can burn us down and then pay our widows $2,000, and meanwhile they can enjoy unlicensed copies of us.
That's right. No, I was looking at G. James B. It was like, wait, backups become invalid when the originals are destroyed? Yeah, you're right. You can't prove your rights to them anymore. But you can always prove your right to be a patron. That's what we're trying to say. So go sign up right now. Support this show. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Let's move on to the search party. That's the... Last week, we said K-pop Demon Hunters was just days away from passing Red Notice. And I think it was the next day after we said that it passed Red Notice to become Netflix's most streamed movie ever. BBC says over the summer, the film gained momentum through word of mouth, boosted by viral videos and memes. It's memes, Brian. Memes did it.
Yeah, this is it passed the threshold from being super cool to being played out. It's too what is it? Nobody goes there. It's too popular. That's the official take.
Yeah. It's too. Nobody goes there. It's too crowded. K-pop Demon Hunters now Netflix's most streamed movie ever. Just one of the many arc stories you can follow by being a Cordkillers viewer every week. No surprise, of course, there's more talk of a sequel now because Netflix is like, oh, people seem to like this. We should probably make more of them.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know. It's so fascinating whenever a piece of art transforms simply by becoming universally beloved. And anybody who invested early in a indie band or whatever has had the experience of the mixed, confused sensations that you get when they become super, super popular. And I'd imagine that's what's happening to a lot of folks with this property.
Yeah, there's a little bit of talk of gatekeeping, that kind of thing. It could make Oscars history if it gets nominated and wins both the animated feature-length category and Best Song. It has not been nominated for either yet, but it's campaigning and likely to get a nomination for those. Only 11 anime films have received any Academy recognition. Not every animated film that wins an Oscar is an anime film. There have been 2 winners in the animated feature category, Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away and The Boy and the Heron, and 1 animated short, La Maison en Petit Cube, in 2008. K-pop Demon Hunters probably going to win an Oscar, maybe 2.
Man, I don't know whether to see it before or after.
After the Oscar, you think it'll feel different if you wait?
Yeah. I wonder if you know what, I am going to wait then, because
you were going to wait anyway. You weren't going to watch it.
I mean, to be honest, I missed my window when I found out that my 17-year-old had already seen it.
Yeah, I will come to Austin if it wins both Oscars and watch it with you. How's that?
Ooh, all right, deal.
Yeah. Fubo Sports has introduced a new skinny standalone streaming plan that just has 20 channels, its most sports-centric channels, including access to ESPN Unlimited. That will be available starting September 2nd. Cost you $46 for the first month and then goes up to its regular $56 a month. So it is $6 more than ESPN Unlimited. In addition to live channels, Fubo Sports also has on-demand video, unlimited DVR, and family sharing. This apparently is not because Fubo and Disney are teaming up on a joint venture now. It was in the works before that, and Disney probably made it easier to get those ESPN rights, of course, but this was something Fubo has been planning for a long time.
Yeah. I don't have much of a take on this one for you. Sorry.
That's my favorite take, honestly.
Because Brian has no take.
No, I mean, the take here is like, there are more ways than ever to try to fulfill your sports need, which may or may not be a good thing, because now it's like, well, which one should I get? Because it's not all in one place. Jimmy Iovine and George R.R. Martin are backing something called Bizarre Studios, which is launching an animation fast channel on Samsung TV Plus and Xumo Play. Bizarre will offer shows such as 1960s anime series Speed Racer, Lupin, the long-running Gentleman Thief series, some martial arts series like Kenichi, Requiem from the Darkness, the adaptation of the Sega video game Virtua Fighter. List goes on. But if you like that sort of thing, you're like, oh, those sound interesting. There's other shows like that I like. You might want to check out Bizarre, Bizaar, on Samsung TV Plus and Xumo Play.
Thank goodness. Yet another way for people to misspell bizarre.
How bizarre.
How odd.
You're right. That's where I should have ended that. The Pac-12. Do you know the Pac-12, Brian?
Yeah, that's a sports thing.
It is.
A secret gang of football teams.
It's kind of the football teams that weren't invited to the other conferences these days, because there's been a bunch of like merging and people being stolen and put in new. Pac-12 is sort of like, well, anybody left wanted to form a conference? Let's do it. So it has extended its broadcast partnership with the CW through the 2030-2031 football season.
So wait a
That's
minute.
only 5 years away, but it seems like it should be so much farther. Anyway. CW will televise 13 regular season football games a year.
I mean, I guess we're convinced that CW will be around in 5 years.
CW apparently is convinced. I'm sure the Pac-12 is like, well, if you're not, then we get the rights back. We could just give them to somebody else. Yeah. And Apple TV Plus sitcom Trying is coming to the BBC. The show will start airing on the public broadcasters' platforms in September. Trying is produced by the commercial arm of the BBC. So this is a BBC production being made for Apple. Apple greenlit a 5th season earlier this year, but it marks the first time that the BBC has picked up an Apple TV Plus series, even though other British broadcasters like ITV have done it with shows like Suspicion, which was on ITV's streaming service earlier this year.
I'll tell you what, man, just more evidence that Apple TV has really crossed the threshold. I think Apple TV may be one of top 3 in prestige, maybe top 2.
Yeah, it's not TV, it's Apple TV.
I mean, I hold on. If you're going to rank the streaming producers with originals in order of prestige, what would you order them?
give a deduction for concentration.
Yes. Well, I mean, we factor that in, right?
Yeah,
Because if your brand is too diffuse, this is why HBO Max doesn't.
I was going to
get
say, if you do
straight
that,
up.
I'm giving it to Apple TV
Yeah.
because they have more hits per capita, more prestige per capita, because they don't make anything else but attempts at prestige. There's little chaff in the Apple TV category, and they do well most of the time. Not everything they make's a hit, but most of it is. HBO is probably better, but once you say HBO Max, and I'm now lumping it in with TNT and Discovery series and stuff, I'm like, yeah, but that is a small percentage of what you get on HBO Max. So prestige-wise, we're just talking prestige-wise, I think I might rank Apple first.
Yeah, they definitely have a reputation in my mind for more discriminating tastes, surpassing even the high quality that we've seen from Netflix. I agree.
The other one would be Hulu. That we haven't mentioned. They, especially with the FX on Hulu stuff, they've got a lot of good prestige stuff. But again, it's watered down.
Well, but also, I don't know, Disney Plus, I might put above Hulu.
As far as because of the Star Wars originals and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also now you're starting to split hairs of but the Hulu on FX stuff is often on Disney
Yeah,
Plus.
but that's all Logic Brain. Logic Brain doesn't get to weigh in.
Yeah. Screw you, Logic Brain. Go home. You're drunk. Well, you're not, but I'll make you drunk real
Let's
fast.
work on that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to the buried treasure.
Most people want to know why they suddenly got rich.
Buried treasure.
Buried treasure is, of course, the portion of the show where we talk about something we've been watching lately, and maybe you'll want to add it to your to-watch list. Brian, what you got?
Man, I was out all week at Dragon Con. I went out, we did the show last Tuesday. Then Wednesday I packed up, and then Thursday through yesterday I was in Atlanta. Boy, is it great to be out in Dragon Con again.
Yeah.
You know what's also great is retreating from all that chaos to watch Death Note with my 17-year-old daughter. I ain't never seen Death Note. Have you seen this?
No, what's Death Note? Tell me all about it.
Death Note is an anime from the aughts that is quite good. To be honest, I didn't even know it was an old anime, but it was, I don't know, maybe 10 years after Cowboy Bebop. And it's a very simple conceit. A dude's just standing on the street. Suddenly, a notebook falls down from heavens, and and it says, "Hey, this is a Death Note book. Whatever you, here's a bunch of rules. Write a name, and then that person's gonna die." And so, he looks up, and there's somebody being attacked and on TV by somebody, and it's like, so-and-so is currently attacking and about to murder someone. So he writes down this very unambiguous, morally clear name that would be okay to put on there. Guy has a heart attack, dies right there. And he's like, what? It works. And then from there on out, it becomes this successive set of rules that get unpacked, and then interesting mechanics like, well, what if you write the cause of death first, but not the name? And then do you have to be the one to also write the name? And it just keeps getting more absurd in this awesome chess match. It's fun. And Josie made me watch the first episode because she wanted me to recognize more of the costumes while we were at Dragon Con.
Oh,
and
nice.
Now we're about
That's great.
halfway through it. It's great. It's great.
She's like, you're going to see these, and I don't want you to be confused. So,
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the very next panel, somebody held it up. They're like, I don't even know what this is. I'm like, I do.
that's Death Note.
Yeah,
That's such a good feeling, especially when you've just been introduced to something and you can be like,
it's on Netflix.
Ah, nice. Fantastic. Two of the most popular genres of television that you hear us talk about on Cordkillers, we've covered this story on and off, are anime and Korean dramas. Brian has mentioned an anime, so I shall mention a Korean drama. Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, just launched on Netflix. There's 4 episodes out because it's airing 2 a week in Korea. Bon Appetit, Your Majesty tells the story of a chef who wins a French cooking show competition. Like, it starts with a faux French cooking show. She does this crazy thing and wins. And now she's going to be able to cook at a 3-star Michelin restaurant because that's part of the prize of winning the competition. And halfway through her plane ride back to Korea, there's a freak storm and she gets sent back in time 800 years and ends up through all kinds of happenstances, becoming a cook for the tyrannical emperor of the Joseon era Korean kingdom. And it's one of those stories where she's like, wait, did I just invent this traditional Korean dish because I made it for the emperor? Sort of thing.
Okay, Tom, I don't know. One seems more likely than the other. I can't tell whether or not you've mentioned this before and I'm hearing it again, or whether or not there are just so many time travel K-pop or Korean dramas.
There's a lot of time travel K-dramas. This is very similar to one I've mentioned before called Mr. Queen, where a chef doesn't win a competition, so it's very different. But a chef falls from a building, and when he wakes up, he's in the body of a concubine who's about to be married to the emperor.
It's super
So it's
different.
It's entirely different. Actually, it's
in
funny.
This one, the Death Notebook was spiral bound. In the other one, it had glue bound.
What's funny is I thought that too. I was like, okay, so this is going to be a different version of Mr. Queen. But this one is more about food. This is definitely playing on everybody's fascination with food cooking shows. So there is that difference. But yes, the bones and the superstructure are very similar. And it's well done. And fun to watch. So if it sounds fun to you, Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, also on Netflix. If you got something we should be on the lookout for, let us know. Email us cordkillers@gmail.com. All right, Brian, what weird things have you got going on?
Oh my gosh, man, it's coming up. Now that I'm back from Dragon Con, I have to be getting ready for the Do Your Weird Thing class, which I'm so sorry that you won't be here. You had to go off and have an anniversary.
Yeah, I know. It's not. It's just like the 22nd one we've had. We've had so many before, but we seem to want to keep celebrating them. So.
Yeah, well, fair enough. But the rest of you guys do not have that excuse. So the rest of you guys need to go to scamstuff.com. That's gear for the modern rogue. You'll see right there at the front. You'll see me holding a goat next to Matt Donnelly. What you're signing up for is 2.5 days. My favorite thing at this Dragon Con was the panel on how to make better social media. Turns out I knew a thing or two about it. I ended up doing an hour nonstop of everything from how to format, how to title, how to thumbnail, how to draw in a crowd, how to keep a passionate fan base, how to monetize them effectively, all that stuff. And now all I want to do is share all of my secrets with you guys in an intensive 2-day workshop. It's so much, it's a blast, man. You're going to eat fire. You're going to learn how to tell stories. We have a competitive competition. This is all stuff that for corporate clients, I charge a whole ton of money, but for you guys, it's just a few $100s. Head on over to scamstuff.com, click on Brian with the Goat.
Yeah, click on Brian with the Goat because it's your chance to meet Rob Dunwood from Daily Tech News Show. Because guess what, corporate clients? You can get around Brian's corporate charging. That's what I did. Okay. I'm like, I'm just going to send Rob to this because it was so much fun and I learned so much. Rob's going to learn so much too. So I sneaked in and I was like, let's have Rob go.
Yeah, dude, it's quite good. It's quite good. I'm very, very proud of it. Thank you very much to everybody who's coming, and I'll see you guys 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Do it. All right, let's scan the horizon.
Send a scanning to avoid.
Scanning the horizon!
Dolby announced Dolby Vision 2, The Visioning. It's just called Dolby Vision 2. The conference IFA in Berlin is going on, so they thought they would give us all the details. Dolby Vision implementation of HDR. HDR is the method where you actually get some use out of a 4K picture by optimizing color tone and brightness in a way that you could do on 1080, but it doesn't show up very well. You got enough pixels with 4K to make it work really well. Some of the new features from what Dolby calls content intelligence are things you might expect. So precision black, so the dark parts get even darker. Ambient light detection to detect how bright your room is. And then you can use data from the video created by the creator of the video to balance it properly. There's a sports and gaming optimization tweak that makes sure that those look really good. Bidirectional tone mapping gives you higher brightness, sharper contrast, more saturated colors. All of these can be summarized as Dolby Vision 2. It's better than Dolby Vision 1 at all the things that it does. But they also brought out something called authentic motion. Brian, if you had to guess, what would you think authentic motion was?
Yet another rebrand of the 240 hertz upscaling.
That is exactly correct.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Dolby describes it as a creative-driven motion control tool, aka motion smoothing, but good. It claims to apply smoothing on a shot-by-shot basis, so not across the entire video, just where they think it will eliminate judder while maintaining the 24p cinematic look. Hisense will be the first TV with Dolby Vision 2 support for any of its TVs coming out this year that use the MediaTek Pentonic 800 chip, so their premier line, basically. France's Canal Plus will be the first content provider that will use Dolby Vision 2 in its content, because you need both. You need to be able to see it. You need to have content that uses it. And just to add to the confusion, there will be 2 versions of Dolby Vision 2, depending on how powerful your TV is. Dolby Vision 2 Max will provide unique premium features, though they didn't exactly lay out clearly what those are, just that the non-Max one has the core next generation capabilities made possible through the new Dolby Image Engine and Content Intelligence. So I'm not sure how it breaks it down between that, but more powerful your TV, the more features you get is usually the way that goes. And this authentic motion is the one that got everybody like, wait, you're going to do motion smoothing on everything? How's that going to go?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole debate that we get. Well, at the very least, even if this kind of raises some red flags, because I'd imagine if you're a filmmaker, that means somebody who is not the director long after the fact is going to decide which parts get goosed up. Some tech is going to decide this scene needs to be motion smooth, this one doesn't. I don't know what their infatuation with this is.
Well,
it's so odd.
That is exactly what their pitch is. This will only be used by creators. So when you create a movie, you can decide to use authentic motion on particular scenes where you think it might help. And then it won't be used on the rest of the movie. Just in particular shots where you're like, well, this is an action scene similar to sports that would have its look improved and no one will notice. It'll just be smooth. And then we'll go back to 24p after.
Yeah, that seems like a very wishful. I don't know. I don't know who loves this. I wonder who is it that loves this thing that everyone hates. I guess Peter Jackson.
I don't know how this happens. Like, it may be somebody like, motion smoothing is really good for sports and gaming, which it actually is. It's very helpful there. And like, wouldn't it be cool? Because there are sometimes these scenes in movies that could benefit, but we don't want to put it on the whole movie. Wouldn't it be cool if you could put it on just those scenes? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's legit.
Yeah, maybe. Also, I just noticed that that we weren't live on the Twitch channel.
I just noticed that too. Yeah, I know that's me, by the way. I would take full responsibility for not being live on Twitch. I totally effed it up when I created the stream. My apologies. We'll be back on Twitch next week. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Fox announced that it has reached a deal with YouTube TV for a renewal of the full portfolio of Fox networks. So if you're on YouTube TV, you're not going to lose Fox News, Fox Business, Fox Weather, Fox Sports, FS1, FS2, Deportes, Big Ten Network, your local Fox station, none of it. They avoided the disaster of losing Fox right before the NFL season started.
Yeah, I did. Was that on the precipice of anything, or is that just business as usual? Nothing.
It feels like business as usual. I know there was probably negotiations over carrying Fox One, and I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop for YouTube to start promoting the heck out of Fox One as an add-on for your YouTube Premium and YouTube TV subscription. Like, I'm guessing that was part of this, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Comcast, NBC Universal, and Amazon have reached a set of comprehensive distribution agreements of their own, spanning Prime Video, Peacock, Fire TV, and Xfinity X1, the box that Comcast sells. Peacock's top subscription tier, the ad-free version, Premium Plus, will be added to Prime Video. You could add Peacock with ads before, but you couldn't add the ad-free version. So you'll be able to subscribe for $16.99 a month or $170 a year. And thanks to a renewed deal that was part of a broader partnership, Peacock is also going to remain available on Amazon Fire as a direct consumer offering. That's probably something you wouldn't really notice, but if you have a Fire TV, you could more easily subscribe to Peacock. That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sling's deal to sell you a day or week pass to its service with ESPN?
I'm a fan of it, yeah.
Yeah. Disney's not.
Oh, no.
Apparently, they didn't run this by Disney. I remember when we talked about this, I'm like, I'm kind of surprised Disney approved of this, but they didn't do the Fox orange or blue plan. They did the Disney orange plan. Well, guess what? Disney is alleging that the pay TV service included its networks without permission in the package, and so it's suing to make them stop.
Yeah, that's too, well, I mean, I guess it's probably one of those things where it's like they have to do the knee-jerk thing.
I mean, kind of crazy if Sling did this without checking. They're like, we know Fox will sue us.
Do you
Maybe
think
Disney won't?
Do you think that's an indication of like just nobody's eyes on the prize, or of just Sling being in a chaotic place, or of them actually stirring the pot?
Yeah, I really haven't seen a good take on why they would pick a fight with Disney and not Fox. I would think they would just pick a fight with everybody, but maybe that was the thing. Like, we can't handle two cases, but maybe we can fight off one. And if we win, we can get the day pass thing, or maybe we can get Disney to agree to settle out of court and we can keep the day pass thing under a certain condition, because could be a way to force Disney to negotiate with you on it when they wouldn't even take your call before.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it was either a move of desperation or one of negligence. Great for Sling.
Yeah. At the Venice Film Festival, Guillermo del Toro was asked if his movie Frankenstein is a metaphor for AI. No one was trying to imply that Shelley Clark knew AI was coming when she wrote Frankenstein. They were saying, when you interpreted it, did you add things that are metaphorical to AI? And he said, it's not intended as a metaphor for that. We live in a time of terror and intimidation, certainly, and there's no more urgent task than to remain in a time where everything is pushing towards a bipolar understanding of our humanity. The movie tries to show imperfect characters and the right we have to remain imperfect, and the right we have to understand each other under the most oppressive circumstances. I'm not afraid of artificial intelligence. I'm afraid of natural stupidity.
That's a kind of odd injection. That was a little bit of a Rorschach test that got blurted out on. I don't know what to think of that, but it is interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if some of those themes kind of reveal themselves organically. It's really interesting what happens in an iterative process.
There's a parallel there with an artificial intelligence in Frankenstein's monster, right? So I get the question. I took what Del Toro was saying here to be like, AI is not the threat. Other people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, just a note that, they're developing that Harry Potter television series for HBO that is going to retell the Harry Potter story again with an all new cast. We talked about the casting and stuff, but there will be one returnee. The Radar, the Gary Berghoff of Harry Potter, will be Warwick Davis, reprising his role as Professor Phileas Flitwick.
What an approachable, beloved,
relatable
metaphor.
Yes. If anybody doesn't know, Gary Berghoff was the only person in the
If
MASH.
anybody doesn't know, there was a show called MASH.
And Gary Berghoff was the only one in the movie and the TV show. So Warwick Davis is going to be in that role. Basically, the way this works in the future will be people will go, who's Gary Berghoff? And they'll say, he was kind of the Warwick Davis of the MASH.
Yep.
All right, let's hold on for the chatter.
Got mail.
Oh no, we have disappointed Bill, who is near Athens. I think it's Athens, Georgia, but it could be Greece. I enjoyed your conversation about Disney killing the Hulu app, but I was yelling in my car when you did not get to the biggest question about Disney doing this with Hulu. If Disney was going to kill the Hulu app, why did they buy out Fox's share of Hulu instead of letting Fox buy it from Disney? Because you get all of the Hulu library, you're just putting it in a different app. I mean, Bill says there isn't much original programming associated with the Hulu brand, but there's a lot. There's a lot of FX stuff. There's Handmaid's Tale. There's a lot of library stuff. There's probably more than Bill realized. He's saying they don't need Hulu as a place to put non-Disney princess material. But they didn't buy it just for the technology, although apparently they used a bunch of Hulu tech in the Disney Plus app. They redid the Disney Plus app with some Hulu technology behind it. So they did use the Hulu technology. You could sort of look at this as saying they took the best of Hulu, its content and its technology, put it in the Disney Plus app, and now they don't need two apps anymore.
Yeah, I think just recently when I stumbled across the Predator animated thing, that was a Hulu original.
Yeah.
There's some good.
There's a lot more Hulu stuff in there than you might think.
Hulu original.
Yep. Mike in Mississippi says, howdy, gents. Since you're considering following up Bonanza with Yellowstone on the full experience, I thought I'd pass along a connection they share in addition to their basic premises. Michael Landon's daughter, Jen, played the supporting role of Teeter on Yellowstone.
I wonder if that was a thought of connection at the time.
Yeah,
just-
probably. There was probably a little like
person in the biz has a kid in the biz, and that's
and honestly, it might have been as much Little House on the Prairie as Bonanza, even though it's Yellowstone, right? But it's both. So Sean writes, Tom, Brian, and Amos just finished Your Friends and Neighbors, TV show starring John Hamm on Apple Plus, and past the first episode where it lays it on thick of how horrible and unfair everyone is to John Hamm's character. It gets way better. Past that episode where they lay it on thick, it gets better. It's a dark comedy about a wealthy Westchester suburb and the downward spiral that happens to Andrew Cooper, played by John Hamm, as he discovers what he's capable of to cover up that he was fired from his hedge fund job they used to pay for everything. It has White Lotus vibes with a dry sense of humor and plenty of twists and a whodunit that gets a satisfying solution. For your next full experience, may I suggest... not that one, apparently. He says, may I suggest a time traveling series like Netflix's Travelers, NBC's Timeless, Hulu's Future Man, or ITV's Time Wasters. I really thought he was like, I'm setting this up to be like, for full experience, you should watch Your Friends and Neighbors. He's like, no, Your Friends and Neighbors is pretty good, but for your next full experience, you need to do a time travel episode.
Yeah, no, I actually like this idea. Although I wonder how Future Man holds up. I remember really enjoying Future Man when it came out.
And of course, we have listeners who remember the time before they got TV. Jamie writes, I was 5 or so when our neighbors got their television. Every afternoon about 5 p.m., my brother and I would drop in to watch Ramar of the Jungle. We lived in a valley between two ranges of hills, so we couldn't watch the San Francisco stations. All we got was Channel 13, which broadcast from Mount Diablo. Soon, the neighbors on the other side got a TV with a giant magnifying glass to sit in front of the small screen. I've seen pictures of those. That's amazing. Thank you, Jamie, for sending that along.
That's great, man. That had to be just electric, just seeing into a new world.
Yeah. If anybody else has experiences or follow-ups on that, cordkillers@gmail.com. Our website is cordkillers.com. We are live often when I don't screw it up on twitch.tv/Night Attack, but also on youtube.com/Modern Rogue Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific. I reckon we'll talk to you next time.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Diamond Club hopes Brian enjoys his trip to the bathroom. So everybody stick around. Full experience is going to be next, and we are going to review the worst episode ever of Bonanza. That would be The Strange One from November 14th, 1965, season 7, episode 10. It's Series Graph, right? Seriesgraph.com. I want to.
The link is on the.
Oh,
90.
Yeah, it's right there. I see it now. Because season 7, episode 10 is 5.5. There were only 4 other episodes rated below 6 in all of Bonanza's history. So I wanted to look at this to kind of see just how deep, like, was it a close race? Season 13, episode 18 is 5.6. Then there's a 5.7, a 5.8, and a 5.9. So I don't know if I'd call that definitive, but it's a clear worst rating. It's it's not tied. It's not tied with anybody else. We're not trying to split.
We're not splitting hairs to pick one.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of the run, which sometimes if the worst episode's toward the end of the run, I'm like, yeah, that tracks. They were just starting to run out of ideas. Bonanza went for 14 seasons, and their worst episode is exactly halfway through, just about.
They might have run out of ideas about halfway through and just kept going.
They had 32 to 34 episodes a season.
Yeah.
Until season 9.
45 minutes an episode.
And then it wasn't until their second to last season that they went down to the industry standard 26 episodes a season.
Yeah.
And then the last season was a half season, season 14. I'm looking forward to watching that final episode because it's 1973.
It's quite the change.
Yeah. It's quite a stretch. Everything come out all right?
Yeah. Although I continue, it's always the coffee that makes me uncomfortably 15 more seconds than I want to be.
Oh, because you're like refilling it. You're making new coffee.
Yeah, it's the input, not the output.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
You ready to do a full experience, my friend?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too. All right, here we go. In 3, 2. Welcome to the full experience. This is an endeavor to catalog the greatest television and sometimes not so great television shows of all time to see if by watching 4 episodes, just 4 episodes, no matter how long the TV show ran, 4 episodes that will give us the cultural literacy to talk about that show as if we had watched most of its run. We are in the middle of testing this theory with Bonanza. One of the longest running shows on television. It's certainly got one of the most episodes runs. It's no Gunsmoke, but it's close. Ran from 1959 to 1973. And we are about to watch the worst rated episode as given by the ratings on IMDb. Season 7, episode 10, The Strange One, which first aired November 14th, 1965. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man, so just how poorly rated was this one? Brian asked very slowly while he goes to imdb.com to see.
I'm going to seriesgraph.com myself. 5.5, which is pretty bad.
Pretty low, right?
Pretty low.
Okay,
And
then go ahead.
Only 4 other shows were rated below 6 in Bonanza's entire run.
I'm really curious why this did so poorly because it's not that terrible. It's not that terrible.
I know,
it's
that's the
fine.
thing, right? I look at this so far and I'm like, this is not as good as last week's episode, the highest rated episode. But in some ways, I kind of preferred this to the first episode, which got a 7.1 on IMDb.
Well, because this one, the show had definitely found its voice. And this is an artifact that we keep seeing in the full experience is the lowest rated episode very often. Well, sometimes it's a fine episode that just isn't paying off the big overarching thing, or maybe they break from format to try something interesting that looks great to our eyes, but didn't gel at the time. Or maybe in the case of The West Wing, it was just a format that was ahead of its time that would presage a type of form of I guess a mockumentary kind of thing. But it was a bit odd that they got spooky, but in terms of like that opening shot, they're like, these dudes are going to kill a chick and she's in a trance. That was like, wow, you have my interest, right? Now, granted, it got into, I was a bit surprised that Lauren Green is like hip to 20th century pseudoscience, remote
the ESP
viewing.
bit. Yeah.
But
I've read about this doctor in Europe.
yeah, right? I'm like, oh, have you? Whose work is that?
Yeah.
But it was like, why can't you be enlightened, you benighted savages? Not everything is a demon. Sometimes it's something real, like ESP.
ESP. Which, honestly, if this comes out in 1975, I'm not shocked at all. Because like in the
But it
70s,
came out
ESP was
early.
taken very seriously. This is 1965. So this is even cutting edge for the ESP scene, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of phoning it in. I thought the main actress was good. She
She was the same person who played the android lover in Star Trek's Requiem for Methuselah episode in season 3.
Oh wow. I didn't.
She's if you look it up, you'll see a picture of her in this like silver outfit with a big old ponytail and platinum
Does she
blonde
still
hair.
have the ESP?
But her eyes are exactly the same. You're like, oh yeah, that's definitely Marie from Bonanza.
They're like, well, your character, your motivation is just make those eyes really
Make those
wide.
eyes, baby. that's your dinner bell right there. Yeah, she's clearly supposed to be Marie Laveau. I mean, she has a different last name, but this is the story of Marie Laveau, stretched and
Marie Laveau?
manipulated.
I actually don't know that.
She is a legendary voodoo practitioner from New Orleans.
And so this is like a fictionalized. What if she
this
went
is
west?
they just called her Marie, but it's like, what if Marie Laveau was somebody's daughter and went out west on the wagon train instead? And it had some of the things that I have found to be very interesting about Bonanza, where it is culturally literate in a way I don't expect from a 60s television show. Like the sort of subtle, like, well, she's not bio people. She's actually, that's actually Creole. I'm Cajun. And they never use the word Cajun. They just talk about bio people. But it's like that is a distinction that most television shows at the time would not have bothered with. They would have been like, the French speaking people from New Orleans. And that's
I think
fine.
that was a bit of the stunt that they were doing. And maybe this is something that Bonanza did on the regular, but there was a pretty significant socially progressive, astute lesson in the highest rated episode, and maybe they were going for some kind of enlightened vibe on this one, even right down to the ESP thing, since it was so much before the pseudoscience hype cycle.
Yeah, somebody in the Bonanza writers' room was trying to elevate the content, but keep it entertaining, right? Like play both ends. Like it's
and
cowboys and horse riding and guns, but we're going to slip in some interesting stuff here and there.
To be honest, some of the clues coming together with the stallion or whatever, that was fine, I guess. But I did rather enjoy seeing the spin cycle, the purity cycle of what would eventually could become a witch trial kind of situation, where it's like, I don't understand what's happening. All I know is that I'm hurting and someone's got to pay. And then watching the slight language change. And of course, I don't know how nuanced that they were going to get in this particular program, but you could see how it's like, if then. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, clearly we got a hanger. And not for nothing, I felt that visceral reality when they put the noose around her neck. It seemed like a serious thing.
Like, I think she's about to die. And even when Lauren Green's character, when Ben comes out, it wasn't the, again, in the 60s, you would have expected like, we can't do this, chewing the scenery. And it was close, but it was not nearly as bad as I would have expected.
Although with her on the horse, they're about to whip the horse's butt. And so I'm like on edge about like, oh my God, that horse it's just going to go.
She's done.
Luckily, the horse did not react at all.
When he yelled, stop!
No, he didn't yell stop. He fired his pistol.
Oh, right. He fired his pistol.
Yeah,
I thought
I'm like,
exactly.
last time I checked, that's going to cause a bit of a
that
problem.
would make the horse. That is a well-trained horse. Like you want a horse that will not leave the hangman's noose until you tell
or
it to.
even notice or something tells
You can shoot a gun next to this horse and he won't go until you tell him to. Also, not a clear-cut happy ending. And again, Bonanza with the like, it takes all kinds of people. We need to understand each other kind of message. But they didn't say, and she'll be fine. Like, do you think she'll be all fine? Yeah, sure. I bet she'll be fine.
There's
like,
one thing we've seen on Bonanza is at the end of the episode, the problem needs to go away.
Leave the ranch. You know what? She's off the ranch now. There's nothing we can do about it. Just
we need
pray
some
for the
Deep
best.
Space Nine here. Like, how about this ship goes?
Honestly, the music hilariously like playing up every time she got a vision was really bad. That was very cheesy and mockable. And it got a little draggy. here and there. I was kind of checking to see how much time was left a couple of times. That's the worst I can say about it. Otherwise, I thought it was decent.
You know, it was really interesting because when I was at Dragon Con, I did a lot of speaking on the skeptic track, and there's different vibes. Like 20 years ago, I would have been annoyed by the credulous kind of, hey, ESP is a real thing. But now I've mellowed so substantially that I don't know. I don't know how much of my affinity for this episode or my lack of repellence for this episode was just extracting after 4 days of
intense, like,
panels.
yeah. No, that's a good point. I made this note, when they asked her about, like, wait, do you have powers? She lied to them by using the rational explanation. She was like, no, I talk in my sleep. Like, I can't remember exactly what she said. I wish I had written that down.
Game. It's a guessing game.
Oh, it's a guessing game.
Sometimes I'm right.
No, that's what exactly. She was like, yeah, there's no such thing as a medium. They just make clever guesses and sound like they know what they're talking about. That's me, good old clever guesser over here.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, wow, very genius.
I know. Yeah. I thought that was pretty great. But yeah.
Did you know? I don't know how it got left in the script. I guess they needed a punch out of some variety, but like just out of nowhere, Michael Landon says, hey, anyway, I'm going to lie to you and tell you I had a psychic vision about a bet you should place. And then I'm like,
yeah,
is he
the
doing
comic
a bit?
Relief scene?
Yeah, but then he rolled
What's
his
a brother
eyes with
for?
like, he overplayed his disgust. And as a result, I'm like, hey man, don't be a jerk. What is this?
Yeah. Hey, come on, Paul. I think the only other thing that struck me is, and I don't know if it struck you this way, but it did feel like Ben Cartwright stood a little closer to Marie than he needed to.
I think that given the actual ages of consent during that time, I was not as put off it as I
wasn't put off, but I noted it. That's I'll be like, Lauren Green.
I also noticed only one
scene.
time that I saw the shadow of production equipment appear on
Oh,
Lauren
really?
Green's
When
belly.
was that? Yeah, on his belly?
It was at the end of a scene. He was crossing before it faded out. You could definitely see just a hard shadow. I don't know what it is, Tom. I think it has to do with, as a kid, I could never see any of that production stuff. And now having the experience and everything being film transferred to above its intended level of quality, I just love it. I loved it in Miami Vice. I loved it in everything we're doing.
It's become a recurring segment on the Full Experience.
I hope you guys don't hate it because
no, it's great.
It's my favorite mini game.
It always tells me something, and when you screen cap it, it's funny.
As a matter of fact, the opening scene, they had to. They're on the soundstage, and so to give kind of a grandiose kind of vibe, you want to kind of pan back from something. But because they're on the soundstage, they're panned in so close that, to be honest, it felt like Land of the Lost. I was like, that's a styrofoam block. And then it pans out. I'm like, oh, you were only able to pan back 4 feet and onto the soundstage.
Yeah. Well, and granted, 1965 televisions that were mostly black and white, they are not going to notice that. So yeah, it was a reasonable risk for them to take. Amos, what'd you think?
There was also a few scenes where there was clearly more than one sun in the sky because the characters' shadows were going multiple directions.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that. Most of my problems with this episode were things that were like logical fallacies, like little things that just didn't make quite enough sense. But none of them were really that impactful.
You mean like that people have ESP?
I mean, like, how did the doctor know that her ankle was swollen, but he never took her stockings off?
He took them off screen before we
before
And then
we
put it back on.
saw it. Yeah,
and then her ankle
as
got
you
worse
would
the
if you're a
ankle got worse
gentleman.
as the episode went on, because in the beginning she wasn't limping at all, but at the end she had a very pronounced limping around the house.
Yeah.
So little things like that were getting me. Thought the story was just okay, and I don't remember my viewing of the show when I was younger ever venturing into the metaphysical.
And maybe that's why this got the low rating. Is it maybe the only time or one of the very few times they did? Yeah.
And then of course I watched with my wife, and at the end my wife was like, "Why are you going with your parents? They try to let them kill you."
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I wonder. Hold on. Let me throw.
Mom was real sorry.
You guys know I'm a good card-carrying skeptic, except when it comes to corporate conspiracy theories. That's my blind spot. That's my. Let me throw this at you. You know, Michael Landon was deeply religious.
Yes.
And this episode promoted a kind of pseudoscientific secularist explanation for what some more religious folks would consider, I don't know, pagan.
You mean the she devil?
Man, there's some word I'm trying to access, but whatever. Point is, do you think Michael Landon was maybe annoyed by secular kind of pseudoscience instead, and it acted as though the religious folks were benighted, and maybe that's why? Wouldn't
He got the
surprise
little
me if
jab at
Michael
the end.
Landon really wanted to sell that snarky thing. That would kind of maybe pro witchcraft, as G. James B says. Yeah, man, I don't know. My corporate conspiracy sensors say that should be the possible reason.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if I missed it, but did they ever explain the medallion?
Yeah.
That
she was
had
given
wear
to she was given it by the woman who cursed her. The woman who predicted that she would always bring tragedies gave her that and said, "If you don't wear this, you will die."
Got you. I must have blinked really hard on that part.
Yeah. It really didn't carry any other meaning. It wasn't like I was like, oh, this is where she gets her visions and they're going to take it away from her and see if that. No, it was just like, yeah, I have to wear it or I die. And it's got a snake on it.
Well, and also it
The worst
is a
MacGuffin
secret-
ever.
Again, it's like I give so many passes because it's such a restrictive format. You have to have somebody who comes in after a commercial break who needs to get it immediately. So it's like, have her pull out the giant medallion that says this.
And it lended a spooky air, right? Like, ooh, she's got that medallion with the snake. What's that mean, right? So a lot of people, that would just be expanding the spookiness of the episode.
Yeah.
Maybe
By
the
the way,
bad
shouts
music
out
was
to
coming from
Brown
Medallion.
Coat TBTH. Yo, word OVG, what gangsta. I agree. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. No, I thought that too. All right. Any other thoughts on Bonanza, the Strange One, season 7, episode 10?
No, I didn't hate it as much as I thought. Did you guys hate it?
I didn't. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating that this was like horribly underrated or anything, but I'm like, if this is the worst Bonanza, Bonanza was pretty good. Like, it was fine. It had weak spots, but, it wasn't awful.
Watching this episode felt like work.
Yeah, it did get laggy for me at times. I agree with you there.
Like usually when we're watching shows, even if it's a bad one, I can sit there and go through it, and it's like, oh, this is this is the worst of my job. This isn't so bad. This actually felt like work. Like, oh, come on, can this episode just end? Can we just?
Yeah, it sounds like it was even leggier for you than it was for me. How about you, Brian?
If I'm oversharing, I had just gotten back from Dragon Con, and migraines, they can be triggered not just by stress, but actually when you kind of relax. And I had that come down after 5 days of stress. And so a visual migraine happened. So quite literally 30 minutes of it, I was not able to physically see the entire screen. And so I was playing multiple mini games, which probably gave it a little bit of a boost on there.
So our reviews are like little draggy, felt like work, made me blind.
Yep. Yep.
Got it. So that's the Strange One. We will be wrapping up Bonanza with the 4th of our 4 episodes, the final episode of Bonanza's series, which aired in January 1973, season 14, episode 15, The Hunter. So if you want to find that on YouTube or on your local fast TV service or DVD, you can join along with us. That is The Hunter, season 14, episode 15. You get these episodes early if you're a patron. So if you're not a patron already, go become one. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.
Maybe.
I liked maybe making it in there.
Like a threat. If you don't become a patron, we just might stop.
I almost always make a little smart remark when things are going, but I was hitting the buttons and like the buttons weren't working, and I was like, oh, maybe, and I meant to be muted, but yeah, I guess it's just gonna live there now.
Yeah.
So,
All
hey,
right.
live audience, thanks.
We'll be on Twitch next
Bye,
week.
everybody. We will be on Twitch next week. Sorry about that. Bye.
Since we have this opportunity, real
Yes.
quick, I'm gonna go and try to edit and add the Twitch.
Oh, you want to see if we could have added it midway?
Oh, this
yeah.
is great. This is good natural
So we
experiment.
can tell the Twitch people like, hey, we know we screwed it up, but we'll be back next time.
Yeah. And we're on Modern Rogue. We're just adding the Night Attack channel.
Yeah,
right?
I screwed up and chose Cordkillers
Yeah.
YouTube channel instead of Night Attack just because I wasn't paying attention.
All right, let's hit the button and see if it does what it. See if it goes. It looks like it went.
Are we live?
Hey,
let's check
Twitch
over.
folks.
Here, I'm going to go to twitch.tv.
This is me
/nightattack.
saying I screwed it up. That's why we weren't on Twitch for Cordkillers this week. But I promise to be better. Okay? Bye.
Brian.
Did it work? Did we find out for sure?
Oh, I thought you were going to the site. I thought you were.
Well, yeah, I'm going there right now.
Go. I haven't hit the button yet. They're getting extra content this time.
Okay.
This is
Let's
like the
see.
super extra.
I'm seeing an ad play.
Well, that checks.
Working question mark. Oh, it's making me log in. I have to join Twitch to.
Oh,
type
look,
it in.
Zoe just chatted. Hi, bye.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
we
I
got the
see us.
notification.
I see us.
Yep,
Okay.
there we are. I see
Okay.
us.
And with that,
Okay,
we're out.
guys.
The last you'll see of us.